Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. The PSG Cup is back this weekend for 48 hours. Essentially, there's going to be 3 different Brawl maps you're going to need to win 3 times on to get PSG mic for free. I'm giving you the best tips and tricks in this video. Best brawlers, best star powers, and gadgets will be down below as usual. So essentially, 9 wins before you get 4 losses. If you do get 4 losses, you'll be able to buy your way back in with gems. Hopefully, you don't need to do that with these tips and tricks. I'm pretty sure you won't need to do that. Make sure you're subscribed. We're getting so close to 150k. We'd appreciate you guys using code Tom in the shop as well. Let's jump into it. Okay, so jumping into the first map here then, it's going to be Super Stadium. So I'm pretty sure that if you have the Brawler, that it will give you the star power and the gadget and it will max out for you, but I'm not 100% sure. So don't quote me on that. I will be giving you guys some free-to-play comps as well, where you will definitely have those Brawlers and definitely have them maxed. So obviously you can use the best comp possible for you, for whatever you want to do. So I'm going to recommend you play Stu on every single map because Stu is just so broken. And if you're playing Stu, you might as well go for an aggressive comp. So one comp I like to play with Stu is actually going like a max Amber and Stu. So that's a really aggressive comp player. With Stu, honestly, you're going to want to auto aim. Same with Amber, same with Max. Auto aim is going to work really well on all those Brawlers. You can use a control comp like I'm doing in this clip here. For example, like a Ruffs Mr. P. If you do not have Stu, or if you don't get it maxed, then Ruffs and Mr. P are actually Stu's biggest counters. So if you're coming up against a lot of Stu and you don't have a Stu in your team yourself, make sure that you're using Mr. P and Ruffs because they do counter Stu very well. Also, tanks in general just tend to counter Stu better than those Brawlers which are going to get through tapped. Yeah, so Stu essentially counters Brawlers with low HP like Piper, Brock, Amber, any Brawler that you can 3-shot with Stu. Yeah, like Stu's going to counter them. If you're using a Rosa is okay against Stu. The problem is you're not going to really be able to get to Stu. I mean, Stu is just so broken. Like, nothing really counters Stu, but the rough sandbags do a good job. Also, Mr. P, the porters that keep spawning are really, really helpful. So if you're playing this comp, I'd recommend playing Max in the mid, Amber on the side, and Stu on the other side. Make sure you're getting that Stu gadget just behind a wall in the mid somewhere where it's going to help your team to use that speed. With those Max supers, make sure you're getting your whole team in and boosting all of them as well. And if you're using a control comp like I am in this clip right here using Mr. P and Ruffs, I'd probably put Ruffs or Amber in the mid depending on what you want in this clip. We're using Ruffs in the mid. Honestly, maybe just depends on matchups. Like if they have a Stu on the lane, I don't necessarily want to put an Amber against there, so I might go Ruffs against Stu instead, just to get the best matchups, and Mr. P on another lane as well. You can actually use Revolving Door on this map if you want to on Mr. P, as long as you're playing on the lane, of course, because you can just hit the wall. You're going to get that super, it's going to be so annoying. With Ruffs, honestly, make sure you give the upgrade to, I would say, Amber, and then Mr. P, and then yourself. And just make sure you stay alive for those upgrades. Play to overtime, you should be good. As long as you keep those upgrades, I would honestly recommend using the healing star power, but for that to work, you kind of need to just stand together. And if you know you're not really going to play this star power, it's fine to go the other one. But I like using this 30 kind of healing because I feel like it's OP over time, as long as your teammates stay up. But yeah, you do have to kind of get used to that. If you're not good at using that and staying alive, then I would honestly just go the other star power. That's going to wrap it up for this map. Let's get into the next one. Okay, so getting into the next map here, it's going to be on center stage then. So this map honestly hasn't really been played a lot. Rosa is very good here just because of the grass, and Rosa does work well with those tankier comps as I've already been talking about. So if you want to go with an aggressive comp here, obviously recommend going Stu. Probably a Stu and then either like a Rosa, like Stu, Rosa, and then Max or Amber, probably something like that. But if you use like no Rosa and you just go the Amber, Max, Stu, that's going to be pretty OP as well. As you can see, Stu is just so OP. When you get that Stu gadget down, make sure you're putting it right in that mid, as you see in this clip, just behind all the walls in the mid, so your teammates can really take full advantage of that. If you're getting Sandy supers, again, make sure you're putting them right in the middle of the map to give your team control. If you're using Rosa, obviously make sure you're trying to get as much value as possible with that Rosa gadget, trying to hit as many enemies as possible. In Brawl in general, this is just a few general tips here. Make sure you always know where the ball is. Make sure you always have control of that, because a lot of mistakes I see people make is just leaving the ball out in the open so that enemy team can score. Just make sure you know where the ball is. Also, you know, your team, ideally, you want your team to have control of the ball all the time. So make sure you have it either in your corner, or if you have control of the map, just want to have it in the mid somewhere where you can access easily so that you can score if you do get a good chance. So going for like the free-to-play comp again, you can go with like a Ruffs here, but a Poco at a time would probably work pretty well. Say just like a Poco a Rose and a Jackie. So that's going to work pretty well. But you can go with like a Ruffs and Mr. P, Amber again. If you do want to counter Stu, if you're facing a lot of Stu, because that comp does work pretty well. Even on this map, you can probably go just Ruffs, Mr. P, and Rosa, because Rosa is pretty good on this map with the ton of grass that is on this map. So yeah, any of those comps is going to work pretty well, and you should be able to succeed. Okay, so the last map's going to be Clean Shot. I played this map once in competitive, and I think we lost on it. But I played it a few times in ladder, and tanks are very good on it. It's very closed off. So one comp I do like to go here is a Poco Frank Rosa comp. That does seem to work pretty well. But honestly, you can't go wrong playing Stu. Like, Stu is just so broken. You can't really go wrong playing it. But I would go with like a Stu, a Max, and a Rosa. That seems like a pretty good comp. There's so much grass on this map that Rosa is just going to be really, really effective. Probably wouldn't actually go over Ruffs on this map, just because I feel like it's a really kind of aggressive map. Doesn't really suit the control-based comps that Ruffs would fit into. So I definitely stick with the Sandy, stick with the Ambers, the Maxes, the Stus, the Rosas, any kind of aggressive brawlers. Honestly, like a Max Rosa Poco could even work, because you're just gonna be healing Poco's gonna be healing Rosa, and there's so many walls and so many bushes on this map that it's gonna be really difficult to kill Rosa. Amber's a pretty good counter to Rosa, but genuinely, if you can hit that slow gadget and you can, slow Amber, that should be a kill every single time. Especially like Rosa with max speed just works so well, because honestly, if you'd super, Max super, Rosa super, pop that Max super, Rosa goes speedy, and you can even slow the enemies as well. So it'd be like, you're speedy, you have super, you pretty much can't die, you slow the enemies down. That's going to be a free goal most of the time. So if you're playing Max, just make sure you're getting really good value with those supers, speeding with both of your teammates, and you should be good to go here. Stu going to be pretty good on this map, but yeah, as I said, I wouldn't really go Ruffs or even Mr. P, because it just doesn't suit that style of map. I'd probably go for a Poco double tank myself. Like, as I already said, a Poco Rosa Frank will probably work really, really well on this map. It's very easy to score on this map, so I would be really careful. As you can see already in one of these clips, I scored a goal where they just left the goal open. You can score from like the halfway point, pretty much. There's like a gap on the right hand side of the map where you can just shoot it straight in. So you have to be really careful with the ball placements on this map. Make sure you know where it is, or where it is. Make sure you know where the enemies are, and exactly like how they can score and stuff like that, because yeah, just be really careful, because it's really easy to score. Also be aware that you could score as well. Be aware where the enemies are, and just look for those opportunities if they do come your way, so that you can score some easy goals. And that's gonna wrap up there. Okay, well, that's gonna wrap up the video. My main tips are just be patient, wait to get kind of a team kill before you go for that goal, and honestly just be really aware of where the ball is at all times. Make sure you have control of it and you know where it is at all times. That's gonna wrap up. If you have any questions, let me know down below. Also, star pass and gadgets, best ones for every brawler will be down below as well in the description. Make sure to check that out. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Make sure you're using code Tom in the shop, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.